Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have Julia Carlson with us. She's a business strategist helping women entrepreneurs digital hustle and scale to eight figures. She's an author, a podcast host, a speaker, Forbes contributor. Also, she's a CEO and founder at Financial Freedom Wealth Management Group. It's going to be a fun podcast today. We're going to talk about her background and her goal of helping women scale to eight figures. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. If you want to start, monetize a podcast, or be invited to other podcasts, you can deal with my podcast agency. It's called podfire.com. We help you start a podcast and monetize with AdSense, get sponsors, and generate leads with podcasts. Julia, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Charles. I'm doing great. Lots of things going on. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 23. So goodness, almost 25 years now. And, I built my main business. And over the years of building that business, I really found my journey of becoming like a better entrepreneur and a better business owner. Lots of learnings along the way. And, now I'm at a point where I want to help other women business owners scale and do the same and hopefully not make some of the same mistakes I did.
So why did you start your business, and was money always important for you?
Yeah. So I think I was working at a bank early on. So the money business has been my only career. I'm licensed as an investment advisor, financial advisor. And, I've loved the idea of how to create financial independence first for myself. And then that translated into the passion of helping others do that. And so, I always have had like a spirit of an entrepreneur, like taking risks and all of that. And so I thought when my path was like, I saw a ceiling in my path, I'm like, oh, well, the only thing that makes sense is to go start my own business and do this. And so that was really, I was probably naive in the beginning, not knowing, but then like learning, independent contractor versus hiring in employees, and understanding you're probably going to make more money at 250,000 of revenue than you do at $1 million. And then the difference of growing a company versus scaling a company, two very different subjects. And so, those are all the things that I'm fascinated about, how to be a better businesswoman.
And what's the meaning of money and wealth to you? Is it a vehicle? Is it a tool? Is it a technology? What's the meaning of it to you?
Well, freedom comes to mind. Like for me, having financial independence means that I don't have to decide what I want based on money. Based on I just think of this example. My daughter was in a horrible accident about 10 years ago, and she was life flighted. Like I didn't want to have to worry about paying, being able to pay that bill. So it's like, I think that wealth is a state, right? It's energy. It's, the more money you have, the more options and the more that you can give to your communities and do good in the world. And so it's expansive.
Right. Love it. You seem quite successful yourself. What do you see in your women clients most of the time? Is it a lack of self-confidence in women entrepreneur? Is it their male counterparts just taking too much, having too much testosterone? What do you see? What problem do you see into them, and also what strength do you see into a women entrepreneur you work with?
Yeah. So I think, when I look back on my journey, I've always had self-confidence. I think what lacked is self-worth. And what I mean by that is I was always chasing the next thing. And that's why I say as women, we need to ditch the hustle, ditch the grind. Not that, as an entrepreneur, we all are going to have to grind and hustle at some point. But I find what happens is what gets you to your first million in revenue is not the same things that get you to 10 million in revenue. And it's opposite. And so you work really hard and you're wearing all the hats in your company. But at a certain level, you have to surrender those hats. You have to actually allow people to come beside you that are aligned with your vision and want the same things that you do, and be able to trust other people to help, build a team and that culture. And so when I actually figured that out in this, in for me, it was, I don't have to do it all. Like and what I was doing was tying my worth to my doingness, right? Doing all of the things. And if I didn't do all the things, then I wasn't worthy of the success. So it actually caused me to dig down and say, no, I'm worthy without goals, without any of that. I'm worthy. Just, we are all worthy. And so when I could surrender that and allow people to come in and be just as excited as I am about my vision, then that's where building and growing a company got a lot easier.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, as a provider, as a protector of my family, I'd find it odd, like finding a sense of worth without providing. But
Mm.
I don't have this lack. I'm excited by protecting, hunting, and bringing back stuff to this house, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, how did that work out for you? Because me, I feel that this is my purpose,
Yeah.
and this is my guiding light, and yeah, that's my goal on a daily basis, to go hunt and bring back stuff. So, is there something wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same conversations that I've had with mine. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're wired in a way to have this bigger sense of purpose and this higher vision and higher mission. And I think that's amazing and beautiful. And so, and I totally embrace that part of me. But I also don't feel like I, I think the way it's a really good question. And obviously I'm still struggling with it, because I do like to go and provide and achieve and hit goals and all of that. But it's not at the detriment of my family. It's not at the detriment of me being a mom and showing up.
Yeah.
And actually, the more that I surrender, like the masculine, like go go go, the more that the amazing people show up in my life and things happen with more ease and harmony, versus like this pushing. It's almost like my future, I get pulled into my future versus pushing towards my future. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. On my side, yeah, I think I've done like a 100K run in the last 2 weeks, and that really like pummeled my mind. I also got sick in the process, and it
uh
brought some sense of humbleness, and it's sort of reset the clocks. So in some area of like sometimes where I was too OCD with my work and working way too much, and like taking this family time for work time, I think that sort of reset itself. Like sometimes I think we get stuck in routine too much, and we push it a bit too far as high performers. Can you relate to that?
Oh, totally. The way, yeah, and the way I like to think about it is like seasons. And this is how I talk to my kids about it. Hey, mom, like this is a season that mom is like going all in. I have, whether it's travel, whether it's appointments, but then there's also going to be a season of rest and play, and we're going to go on vacation and we're going to have an amazing time. And so eh, I think we get so wired or inundated in this 9 to 5 work world, right? Like who told us we had to work in that way? As opposed to, hey, this season I'm going to go all in, and it's going to be out of balance a little bit, but then I'm going to follow it up with a season of rest and play and fun. And so I think the more that we can share with our loved ones how we're wired differently, the more it takes that pressure off of us.
Right. Yeah, I love the seasons concept. And in business as well, I think there's low seasons and there's high seasons. And a lot of people need to flow with that, and they need to play with that and save up for some seasons, or buckle up, sort of, like make their little hut for winter time. So think a lot of entrepreneurs should flow more with these seasons. I heard you mention various scaling steps like 250K, million a year, 10 million a year. Why is it different? And I know you're gonna probably mention outsourcing and all of that. And how do you think this is gonna change in the age of AI when we're
Yeah.
having agents instead of employees and systems and automation?
Yeah, that's a really good. I mean, I'm just learning about all this AI. I was actually on your site and I was looking at your your AI podcast, and I'm like, that's very cool. How does he do that? I mean, so I have 23 employees, and I think what happens is I love my team culture. I mean, we do have physical locations, so we're not all virtual. And how I see us interacting with our team, like or team, not only as a team, but with our clients, like that's magic. Like I think AI will never replace humans. We need the emotional intelligence. We need, like the empathy, like the being there, the physical presence of it. But I think this AI, the adopters of that are going to uh, be a lot more efficient, bring a lot, be able to grow, bring more business in, but also scale more efficiently. So like we're revisiting our plans for our 5-year trajectory, where we may not need as many employees because we do want to harness the power of AI. And so I think it's being open to the way that you can innovate. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's really easy for us to stay in our little box, but we have to put ourselves out there to learn more, do things differently, think differently.
Right. And tell me a bit more about your business. Like, what is it that you do? Who do you target? How do you do your sales and your growth goals? I heard about 10 million, I think.
Yeah, so it comes, I have a couple different businesses. My business is Financial Freedom Wealth Management is a wealth management company that offers retirement planning, investment management, and then we also serve business owners and helping them build wealth in their company, yes, but also outside their company, because most entrepreneurs have a singular focus of just putting everything back in their business and growing. So over time, you have to kind of diversify, and we help business owners do that. And then as a business strategist, which this is the business that I am developing, is helping women like be that partner, that strategist for them to actually help them map out the plan to go from 7 figures in revenue to 10 million and beyond in revenue, and really be that partner, that strategist that shows them where the opportunities are in their business, how to structure, how to avoid or pay less in taxes. Because I think if you're paying more to taxes, you're not able to reinvest that back in your business. And the tax code is set up to incentivize growing your business, investing in your business, real estate, all of that. So how do you create like this holistic plan that ultimately scales your business, but also scales your wealth?
Right. There you go. So you have a book, you have a podcast, you have speaking gigs, you have multiple businesses. How do you spend your time on a daily basis? What does a day in your CEO life looks like?
Yeah, well, every day's a little different. And so, but I do tend to block days. So typically Mondays are we run the Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS. So in our wealth management company, so we have our level 10s, we have kind of all of the meetings to get prepared for the week, to get a pulse of what's happening in the businesses. That's kind of Monday's schedule. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays are more creative days for me. They're more if I'm doing a podcast like today, if I'm creating something, writing something, that's Tuesday, Thursdays. Wednesdays, I'm in a physical office location where I meet with clients that I still work with one-on-one. And then Fridays is kind of a catch-all day, like getting everything kind of buckled up for the week and setting the stage for the next week. So when I'm home, that's what it looks like when I'm not traveling.
Right. And how do you balance your business life with personal habits, health, that keeps you energized so that you can be productive on a daily basis? Like, do you do yoga, breath
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
diet? Like, give us example of habits that you have nurtured to be more energized.
Yeah, well, it's health is very important to me. So my husband and I work out with two other couples most days of the week at 5 a.m., which means my alarm goes off at 4:39. And then one day a week, I actually lead yoga for us, so it's just very informal. And that is kind of and I love to go for walks. Like if I just need a break, I'll go for a walk. And so movement is really important in feeling good. And then I have three kids, so I'm very active with them. Like today, I'm taking my daughter tonight to a concert, and so I try to intentionally put activities into my calendar ahead of time. So I'm spending that quality time with my kids, and I also include them. Like a fun story: I have a daughter graduating, and I invited her to come to a conference I was speaking at, and she just like totally took it in. But what was cool is later she did her essay for college, and her essay was basically, I'm going after my goals. I have a very clear vision of what I want because I saw my mom consistently go after her goals.
Wow.
So it's almost like a full circle. Like early on, when my kids were small, there was, guilt and I should be there more. And, that. And now I see them growing up, one's getting married, very independent, and envisioning these lives for themselves that they had the inspiration from me. And so my wish for other younger parents are like, your kids are watching, and it's not bad that you're focused and zoomed in, but I think you just have to bring them along the journey. Like tell them why this is important to you and tell them what's driving you and spend that time with them.
Yeah, well, that success right there got me thinking. Like, because back in the days, parents, they wouldn't be at home, so the kids couldn't observe what they were doing really. But now, most people are working at home, and the kids, they see their parents focused and working, and I think that's very inspiring to them. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that brought an insight into me. Want to talk about the book. So why does money love you, and what's most entrepreneurs' relationship with money and wealth?
Yeah. So, yes, my book is called Money Loves You. And a lot of my entrepreneurial journey is in that. And I think I have witnessed in the money business clients that are either have a really good relationship with money. And as a result, it's a power assist to, build financial independence in a easier path for them, where a lot of people unfortunately have a negative mindset with money, or they feel like money is against them, or and what happens in that scenario is it's a life of avoiding their money and not making wise choices. And so the whole idea of Money Loves You is thinking about how can money be this power assist for you, this friend, this hey, it's not there to get you, it's there to actually help you. And examining what our relationship with money is and having awareness of how our subconscious beliefs are impacting our day-to-day decisions with money. So it's kind of a journey into examining that relationship, transforming it. I have some exercise in there to help people create a positive relationship with money, and then ultimately how that inner wealth builds your outer wealth.
Love that. And is the podcast aligned around the same topics? How do you choose your guests? Do you have sponsors in mind? What's the goal of the podcast? And yeah, what have you accomplished so far with it?
Yeah, so the podcasts that I've done have been just solo episodes. So it's just me. A lot of the stuff from the Money Loves You book, how I approach money, and I'm actually thinking it's on a pause right now. I'm actually thinking about launching more specific to entrepreneurs, and building that first 8-figure year as an entrepreneur. So I'm thinking about pivoting and really helping, like, for me, I actually enjoy having a guest and going back and forth. So I'm really kind of thinking about beginning of 2025, like, bringing a new fresh perspective just for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think both are fine. You know, like me, I build my content on YouTube. I do solo videos, but the podcast and interviewing CEOs and founders is so valuable. You know, like I learned so much, and the connections you make from that, and it's still the thesis I had since day one. I've been like 2 or 3 years at it with 2,000 guests. So that brain of mine has grown exponentially. So yeah, if you want to start one and interview founders, I think it's a genius idea. Still, I think it'll scale for the next 2 years because AI podcasting is about to take over. Um, yeah, I think an AI
I would
keeps
like to
away
learn
the
about
job.
that.
Yeah, try Notebook LLM by Google. So you just feed it your content, your long form content, and it'll be like two podcasters speaking back and forth about what you spoke about, which is pretty creepy and beautiful at the same time. But yeah, I'm still
That's
very
amazing.
bullish on podcasting. Tell me about your speaking gigs. Do you still have some of those? Do these come organically? How do you get those?
Yeah, right now they do. They tend to be more organic. So only because of my travel schedule. Like I have 2 kids still in high school, and my oldest daughter, we're planning a wedding. So I'm like 2025, I want to be kind of close to home for all those kind of fun events. My son plays a lot of sports, so I like to be a part of that. Um, and then I just feel like, so I know I'm speaking at a women's event in January. I just feel like it's as people approach me, I kind of filter, okay, is this a good opportunity or not? I speak a lot in my industry because I tend to be uh, a little different than the average financial advisor out there.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so, yeah. And so I think that's probably my speaking career, I can see doing more, into 2026 and beyond. And I really want to focus in on helping entrepreneurs because I'm an entrepreneur, and it's just like I speak that same language and I get it. And I think it's really powerful when you can be an advisor to other entrepreneurs that are maybe not where you are yet.
Yeah, we share the same DNA and it's just alignment, right? Like when you spend your energy with other energy sources, it's exponential, it just multiplies itself.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, I think I saw on your profile that you're into fighting human sex trafficking, which is a very harsh topic that need to educate myself a bit more. I think it was Tony Robbins that had the documentary about that not so long ago that I was about to listen to. But tell us about that specific cause and how you're helping to fight against that horrible activity.
Yeah, so I think that came up I know that came up when my daughters were in elementary, like older elementary school. And I was a part of Rotary and the Human Trafficking Committee. We're on a coastal town with the Highway 101 that goes up, from Washington all the way to California. And unfortunately, it was happening in our backyards here
Yeah.
in Oregon. And so I was just like blown away that I had to be worried about this as a parent. And so I educated myself. I became I became licensed to go into the schools and teach the kids about what even is human trafficking and the stages of human trafficking and what to look out for. And then really social media safety training, because so much of it starts on social media, and how the kids, they're vulnerable. They put themselves out there not even knowing that the danger that they put themselves in. And so we need to educate our kids. They need to have access, I think, at a more slower pace than they do now, just to protect them. And so it happens around the world, but so much is happening right in our neighborhoods that more people can get involved and just spread the news.
Right. And when you say in your backyard in the US specifically, or my native Canada, is it kids, I don't know, being forced prostituted for gangs, for example, in the US? Or are they traded to another part of the world? How does that work?
So how it works is they are basically groomed. So like in our community, we have a very high teenage homeless rate, and
Yeah.
so they actually pick out groomers. So it could be, you know, an older teenager that that needs whatever the this is, I didn't know we were going here. This is crazy to talk about. So basically, it's like they are looking for vulnerable kids to attach onto.
Yeah.
Um, and then those kids that are already in the school systems, you know, go after other girls that are you know, more vulnerable, and they create friendships. So it's not like someone is just kidnapped, they're there one day and they're not there the next. It is like a grooming and a staging, that it's like they
Yeah.
trust this person, they feel like they love this person, and then they get start
Hmm.
asked, they, you know, they get start integrating into doing things that they're like, oh, this isn't right, but they're exposed very slowly over time, and then taken out of the area. And so this could
Yeah.
happen over 6 months, which you build relationships with people over that time. So that's what's scary about it is, you know, as a parent, you need to know who are in your kids' lives, who are their friends, like take a very active role in their phone, in their social media, like all of that.
Right. Yeah. I guess women are more vulnerable because me, I was a little rebel when I was younger. I think I was in an environment that was relatively safe, which is why I didn't go off track. But yeah, when you're a woman, I guess you're way more vulnerable, and then you fall in love with a guy that has money in mind, right, and bad intentions. So yeah, got to
Exactly.
be careful. I'm not into parenthood yet. I'm about to be, but yeah, it's very, you know, it's probabilities at the end of the day sometimes. And yeah, parents need to be not helicopter parents, but just teach our kids good values and you know, like not toxic patterns, and how to have healthy relationships that can add value to their lives. So very complicated topic, and yeah, it happens in our own backyard, like you said, in Canada too, in US, you know, unfortunately. So that I'm gonna research more on the topic and see how I can contribute to it on my end. You have a cause that you recommend for that, the Rotary Club, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, Rotary, which is global, has some great initiatives around it. I was actually just at an island called Ariel, and they have a nonprofit called Ariel Recovery. Uh, and that what they actually take uh, people that have men, most that have served, and actually train them how to go into. Now they're going into more third world countries and rescuing women that are being sex trafficked.
Yeah.
You know, so they will go all over the world, and they're actually like on the ground doing this recovery work. So I would definitely recommend checking them out.
Right. Well, thank you, Julia, for today, for exploring that topic as well with us. I think it's very important to talk about these things. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so they can get my book, Money Loves You, on Amazon.com. And then also my website, juliamcarlson.com, has all the information about me.